different people feel loved in different ways. A marriage that's full of love is where we're seeking to meet our husband or wife's needs in the particular way that makes them feel loved.
In his brilliant book, The 5 Love Languages, author and counsellor Gary Chapman describes 5 separate ways through which people experience love.
The 5 love languages grew out of my counseling with couples. They would sit in my office and one of them would say, "I just feel like he doesn't love me or she doesn't love me." And the other would say, "I don't understand that. I do this and this and this. Why would you not feel loved?" And I heard similar stories over and over again. And I knew there had to be a pattern to what I was hearing, but I had no idea what it was. So eventually I took time to sit down and read several years of notes that I made when I was counseling people and asked myself the question, what did they want? What were they complaining about? And their answers fell into 5 categories. And I later called them the 5 love languages. And I started using that concept in my counseling, that if you want her to feel love, you've got to express love in her love language. If you want him to feel love, you've got to express love in his love language. And I would help couples discover their primary love language, challenge them to go home and try speaking it, and sometimes they would come back in 3 weeks and say, "Gary, this is changing everything. The whole climate's different now." The love languages are words of affirmation, gifts or presents, quality time, kind actions, and physical touch. You discover which of those is most important to your spouse and you start speaking it, chances are you'll begin to see a difference. So I think when you feel loved in the relationship, it's easier to process all the rest of life, because the need for love, the emotional need for love, is the deepest emotional need we have as humans. And if you're married, no relationship is more significant than the relationship with your spouse.
Discovering how our partner feels loved is incredibly empowering in a marriage. It can improve even the best marriage and can turn things around for a marriage that is struggling.
However, when we first try using our partner's love language, if it's different to our own or not something we observed growing up, it can feel very unnatural. And we may think that love should always be natural and spontaneous. But actually, loving intentionally can take real work, just like learning a foreign language. Early in our marriage, we lived in Japan for 3 years, and I tried really hard to learn Japanese. At first, it felt very unnatural, as Japanese includes sounds that don't exist in English, and it was difficult to get my mouth in the right shape. But as I practiced, it began to feel more natural, and Japanese people started to respond, which was hugely rewarding.
And it can be the same with learning our partner's love language. It may feel difficult or even unnatural at first and will require effort and practice. But the effect of learning what makes our partner feel loved far outweighs the hard work involved.
To help you work out which are your love languages, we're going to do a short crash course in each one. So, the first way to express love is through speaking loving words. Words are very powerful, either to build someone up or to put them down. And a lack of loving words can have damaging results in a marriage.
I remember counselling a couple. They were about to have a divorce, and in my room, and honestly, the air is vitriolic. They're hurling insults at each other. I can practically cut the atmosphere with a knife. And as they hurl these insults at each other, suddenly I said, "Just a moment, stop her." And I turned to the woman, I said, "Can you tell me anything at all, just one thing positive about your husband?" She answered in a heartbeat. She said, "He's a fantastic father." I saw a look of utter astonishment cross this man's face. He'd never ever heard his wife say anything positive about him. And I turned to him, "Can you say anything positive about your wife?" He said the same. "She's an incredible mother." Honestly, the atmosphere changed in a moment. In fact, for about 5 seconds, they just looked at each other in silence. And in fact, I slipped out and left them to talk. I am often stunned at the sheer power of words. You know, the Bible says that words have the power of life and death. And sometimes I meet somebody, I met a man the other day, he said, "Oh, I know I bring my wife down, but it's just me, I'm just being sarcastic. She knows I don't mean it." No, it's not good enough. it's not good enough. Because it's so easy to be positive. Darling, you look nice in that. I appreciate that. Well done. It's so easy to bring into being the very power of the words we speak.
There are many ways we can use our words to communicate love. For example, when we compliment our husband or wife, it shows we've noticed. And I love it when Nikki compliments me on a talk I've given, or what I'm wearing, or even what I've cooked for dinner. If he says, your spaghetti bolognese is the best in the world, even though I've made it 1,000 times before, it makes a huge difference to me. It shows me he's noticed and I feel valued and not taken for granted. So often we might think these things, but we just don't say them. It's all too easy to get complacent and take the things our partner does for us for granted.
We can use words to encourage our partner. Our partner may lack confidence about doing their job well, or about parenting, or whether they have anything of importance to give to others. We all need to be our husband or wife's #1 fan. It's within our power to give our partner courage and confidence to build their self-esteem through our words. I remember talking to a couple in their first year of marriage who were having problems. We asked them, which is most important of these love languages for you? And without any hesitation, the wife said, words. Then the husband said he'd never heard loving, affirming words being spoken in his family as he was growing up, and he realized he'd have to learn. Well, he clearly made a conscious effort, because we saw his wife 6 months later, and she said she felt completely different about their relationship as a result of the changes he had made.
If words are your husband or wife's most important love language, being affirmed like this on a regular basis, many times a day, will renew their sense of feeling loved again and again.